Hello, today is Sunday, September 18, 2022. Welcome to your YouTube channel. So, I'm making a book review about this book, and I will not be going through so much detail about it. Most likely you saw the title of it, and that's exactly what you're getting it. And it is connected to other ones. So it's not like a one shot I make a video clip. I'm making it piece by piece. What author says what. That's how I'm making it. Okay, so if you're new to my YouTube channel, you know I will be speaking the English language, then I will switch to the Persian language. I'm writing Colonel Mohammad Bagher Bani Ameri. So I apologize to his family and the surviving family if I'm referring to him as Colonel Ameri. So I don't mean to disrespect the family's last name, first name, and his contribution to Iran. Just easy for me to read it. So this portion of the book review covers Colonel Mohammad Bagher Bani Ameri's service to Iran to maintain the integrity of Iran's sovereignty. He says, I'm saying it. I was happy to read this section of the book because Iranians did not know the members of Imperial Iranian Armed Forces, Imperial Iranian Police Forces, Savak agents, and gendarmerie personnel work around the clock to defend Iran's national sovereignty, keeping Iran safe from highway robbers and all other pernicious elements of society. I wanted to mention that mothers and wives of members of Imperial Iranian Armed Forces or any other branches made great sacrifice to keep their families intact. At the same time, their husbands did not work from 9 to 5, but around the clock to keep Iran safe for everyone. The mothers and wives' sacrifice should not be forgotten. Otherwise, those men could not perform their duties while they were in the field and working relentlessly for Iran. If their homes did not have peace, security, and comfort, those men could not do their jobs right. Last, Iran is composed of different ethnic groups. From time to time, these ethnic groups express themselves through self-autonomy. Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi used Cyrus the Great's education to build and maintain peace with Iran's ethnic groups, and a spell in the testimony of Colonel Mohammad Bagher Bani Ameri, how he used Cyrus the Great education to assimilate ethnic groups in greater Iran. I never met Colonel Mohammad Bagher Bani Ameri. I hope the family does not mind I'm using Colonel Ameri. Self-autonomy of Iran's Kurdistan. Why did Iranian Kurds want to separate from Iran to form its self-autonomy? When I was reading the book, the whole thing, I'm putting in a question mark to condense what he did. I'm not ignoring Colonel Ameri's contribution, okay? I'm giving a credit to him. He worked 9 to 5. He worked under difficult conditions. Colonel Mohammad Bagher Bani Ameri addressed the above question by having a dialogue with Iranian Kurds who represented Imperial Iranian's Literacy Corps, because it was a co-ed program. It is essential to understand that Iran's culture is conservative, and moving Iran toward gender equality was difficult. Thus, gender equality would begin in the school as male and female students interact socially and learn the lesson of gender equality. On page 72, Colonel Mohammad Bagher Bani Ameri met a rebel leader named Mohammad. I apologize to this person. I apologize to all Iranian Kurds. I don't mean to disrespect anybody. Maybe I'm not pronouncing this person's helmet properly. I apologize. And I don't mean to disrespect any Kurdish person. So he wanted to capitulate. He was unsure about the terms and conditions of amnesty. Colonel Ameri asked Helmut to visit Imperial Iranian Air Force in Tehran. Mr. Helmut traveled to Tehran and visited Imperial Iranian Air Forces. Helmut saw modern warfare machines, and his outdated assault rifles with several riflemen were no match to the strength of Imperial Iranian Air Force. General Robert Hoiser, in his book Mission to Tehran, says that Imperial Iranian Air Force was a miniature version of the US Air Force. This is the book. I read it. There you go. This is it. So, one of the funny things, it is like Iranian people are coming and say, oh, we don't know what happened when he came to Iran. Read the book. Read the book and you will know how he betrayed Iran. He says it. He says it. Okay? Read the book. They say, we don't know what happened. You read the book and you will know what happened. And I remember BBC says, oh, we have access to the CIA's secret documents and he betrayed Iran. Oh, look, he says it in his book. Where does CIA get the documents? From this book. He says it in the book. I don't know, it's really mind-boggling. So, Mohammad returned to his hometown and capitulated. He asked his riflemen to do the same as they followed through. They received amnesty from Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi. Some individuals joined Iran's Red Lion and Sun Society and others formed militia within the gendarmerie. He uses the word shrik. Shrik is like a guerrilla warfare. That would be not so, if I would say guerrilla warfare, would be contradictory in English language. So I put the word militia because militia, you could be a militia and you're part of the system. So you're helping your system. In Kurdistan, a rebel figure called Mullah Avare wanted to separate Iran's Kurdistan from Iran. He and his riflemen engaged in a skirmish with gendarmerie. Colonel Ameri surrounded his safe house and had him in his custody after a gunfight. Mullah Avare was charged and convicted for causing fear in the community or disturbing peace. Sometimes he is saying it like a causing a fear in the community, but I'm putting it in a Canadian version, Criminal Code of Canada, disturbing a peace. So it begins to make more sense for people who are just speaking the English language. They're not familiar with Iran and the culture, the language. Separating Iran's Kurdistan from Iran and taking part in terrorist activity. He was executed with several of his riflemen. Colonel Ameri brought peace to Kurdistan within 1.5 years and helped Iranian Kurdish feel attached to Iran. He did not use any kind of like a force. If anybody was like Helmut was saying they made a mistake, they apologize and they want to become part of Iran, that's it, fine. And this is the irony part that I want to say. Like I have a speeding ticket goes back to 2005 and now it is 2022. Canadian legal system believe I'm a crazy, insane, and they have to hold it against me. And anything stays on your record for 127 years. So Canada is a police state. At the time Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi reigned in Iran, if a person made a mistake, you say, I'm sorry, it was over. In Canada, you sneeze, they write your name. In Canada, you want to, for example, become a police, military officer, whatever. They want to know, when did you brush your teeth? When was the last time? Canada is a police state. Canada is not like a free country as they pretended. It's very, very backward. It's very, very backward, seriously. There is no freedom in Canada. So again, he's part of the gendarmerie, but it is also part of a police. In Canada, there is a system called Integrated Road Safety, and that is in British Columbia, province of British Columbia in Canada. So he was I'm trying translating it to begins to make sense. People who are familiar with Canada, or maybe US will have. In the US, I think they have something like a highway patrol. That is what they have in Ontario Provincial Police. So here in BC we have Integrated Road Safety. So he was working that one, and he asked the transit drivers to report it to him if any traffic police officer was asking them for a bribe. And he told them, don't worry, I won't reveal your identity, you just tell me and I want to get rid of it. So that's really big, that's really big. He did lots of good things over there. And one of the things is mentioned in the book, he comes and he says, there is one abandoned building, and he's talking, this goes back a long time ago when they were building a dam. He comes and he fixes it, and he makes a station for the police who are for the highway, they're patrolling, they're monitored, so makes it over there. So using the old building, like of course making it nice, clean, presentable, professional. So he talks about the highway robbery. It is in province of Khorasan. What happens, some people are pretending to be from Afghanistan, and they're asking people who are in a bus, step down of a bus, and because this bus was traveling from one city to another city, and they begin to take all their possessions. So he wants to integrate the victims. One of the victims says, the highway robbers were not from Afghanistan, they were Iranian. And he says, how do you know that? The man says, because they were swearing to Saint Abbas that they're going to kill us if we did not obey them. People from Afghanistan are Sunni, we are Shia sect, and that was a good tip. So he tells his police officer to look out for someone who in the city of Mashhad is dressed up in a fancy clothes, something is standing out about them. And they come in and they see one shepherd man is dressed in a nice suit and a Rolex watch, and they bring him to the police station and they question him, where did you get it? I said, oh, I bought it from the Saint, someone was around the Saint Reza's shrine, was selling it, I bought it. And he tells him, you listen to me very carefully. You were involved in an armed robbery. There is no such a thing. And he says, you know, you better cooperate with us and you will have a lesser sentence. But if you don't cooperate with us, you're going to have a really big sentence. So he says, he admits for what he did was wrong, and they help people. Afghan and ransom. There was one case, they call, I don't know how to say it in English, but a village had a headmaster, and Afghan people are coming, kidnapping his sons, 2 sons, and gendarmerie involves to rescue the sons. One of the sons gets shot and killed. They were able to save last son. So that was happened. He gets transferred to Balochistan. Ghulam Ali Owaisi was the head of the gendarmerie, and Ghulam Ali Owaisi was a general, but I don't know his rank at the time when he was the head of the gendarmerie, so I just left it as is. So what happens, he says, there was an issue in the province of Balochistan. 2 tribes are having a problem, and there's a guy with the name of Moses. He decides to leave. He goes to one of the islands in the Persian Gulf area, and Saddam Hussein becomes aware of him, and he says, well, I'm gonna aid you. Your riflemen, everybody provide you with the cash, money, everything to have your self-autonomy. I was really happy to see that piece, because this man, Ali M. Ansari, he's such a big liar. I was happy. I'm so happy reading this book. I highly recommend that you read it. This man, I knew from day one he was lying. Okay, like, I was born in a military family. My father was a military officer. I know how we think. I know how we behave. I know who we are. Okay, we are unlike him. He's not an honorable person. Okay, and he's saying that the coup, the plotters, the people who masterminded, they were they went with Saddam Hussein and they asked him for money and he was supplying them. And we could see this man, Colonel Mohammad Bagher Bani Ameri, would never talk with Saddam Hussein, would never do anything with him. Then we are talking about Bani Saad said that the CIA sold a blueprint for Iranians to do coup, and it was unhatched, and everybody knew about it. And I know he's talking gibberish. He has no idea. We are not dishonorable people. These are dishonorable people. And I was happy to read that. So what happens? He goes, and after receiving basic training, 3 months later, his riflemen are saying, hey, we miss our family, we want to go back home. So he sends 5 of them to Balochistan. And these guys are getting paranoid. They see gendarmerie around themselves. Unfortunately, they killed 3 gendarmerie. And they don't know what to do. They don't know how to negotiate terms. So he talks to them. He says, hey, oh, what happens? They call him to the headquarters. They call in Colonel Ameri to the headquarters and they are talking. One retired colonel, Rigis, who reports it to the Savak that there are 2,000 Baluchis, 500 in Iraq who are ready, these are reservists, 1,000 reservists in Pakistan, 500 forces, strong men, are in Iran's Balochistan. They're calling Colonel Ameri, and Ameri says, they're asking him, do you have any news? And he says, no, no. I'm in touch with indigenous people, and they're not saying this whatsoever. So it's been rejected, and then he says, I could do it. I could give me the case. I could do it. He goes and talks to him. He calms him down, and they talk with the king, and gives him amnesty, and all those 50 riflemen, they have the amnesty. They go back to their normal life. Unlike Canada, unlike the Islamic Republic of Iran, that if you sneeze, they will put in Canada, they will put you into the prison. Just if you do something wrong, like God forgive, if you do something wrong, they put you into prison, they will handcuff you, like what did I do? It's such a backward country. So that is what happened. So, and one day he is sitting in a military base, he sees some young engineers are coming, and he tells, they're looking for a place to stay and food, refreshment, and all at the taxpayers' money. Paid, and the young engineers went to build Iran. So we have that one. But it is very difficult really to pinpoint some other issues. Okay? This, to bring a peace for Iran, to maintain national integrity of Iran. His hand, in one incident, a bullet hit him. And just imagine, you're in loss of pain. In the case of Afghanistan, they were trying to rescue the sons. A bullet hits him on the shoulder. So it's not easy. All those Iranian people, they were having fun in a disco. He was on the top of the mountain, on the mini, it's not like a nice sunny day, you're doing a sun bath. It is raining, it is snowing. Kurdistan has a harsh climate. And his wife is somewhere else, taking care of their daughter. That's what the book says. I don't know the family, I don't know anything. Total respect for the family. They're going through hardship over there. Okay? He's doing all this work for Iranians so they could go to the disco and dance. I found that video clip, I put it in the blog, and you could go and see it. Before 1979, Iran was a free and prosperous country because of people like him who did it. And I'm really happy to see gendarmerie is doing it, because I knew nothing about it. Like, I knew they were looking after border, and how is that different from custom border agents? Okay, these are all questions. And people like him who work hard around the clock, sleep deprivation, like he's saying, I slept 2-3 hours here and I was following that person. It is hard. It is very hard to do it. And he retires because there's a general with the name of Bagher. He's a traitor of Iran who allowed the 1979 revolution to take place. There was another general with the name of Fardus who also took part in the disaster of Iran. And he comes in to a base, he summons him and says, why do you always run away from me like thieves? He's the guy who's fighting with the thieves, and he's called him a thief, so this doesn't go so well, and he retires. Okay, I will be speaking the Persian language. این قسمت رو که دارم صحبت میکنم و تا حدودی راحت میتونم صحبت کنم در رابطه با ایشون سرهنگ محمد باقر بنی آمری. ایشون اینو ببندیم. ایشون زحمت هایی کشیدن که ما خیلی باید بهشون احترام بذاریم، به اون مادرها، به اون خانمها که شوهراشون تو خونه نبودن، چون اینا این افراد از ساعت 9 صبح تا 5 بعد از ظهر کار نمیکردن بعد دوباره برگردن. اینا همینجوری کار میکردن ساعتهای بسیار طولانی، شاید روی کوه میخوابیدن، روی دشت میخوابیدن، بارون، برف. میگه، خودش میگه، بخونید. حالا اگه دوست دارید مثلا من بوک ریویو کنم باشه انجام میدیم که باشه، ولی میدونم بعضی هم خیلی بوک ریویوشون قشنگه، نقاشی میذارن، فیلم میذارن، نشون میدن. من بلد نیستم، ولی جالبش اینجا اینه که دانش کوروش بزرگ رو پیاده میکنن. پادشاه عزیز ما دانش کوروش بزرگ رو پیاده میکنه، تو همینجا میبینید، و سرهنگ محمد باقر بنی آمری هم همین رو پیاده میکنه. در استان کردستان چرا مردم میخواستن از ایران جدا بشن؟ ایشون سوالو نمیکنه. من اومد به نظرم که چرا این کار میکنه؟ بعد یهو دیدم آها، به خاطر کم سوادی بوده. ناراحتیشون این بوده که چرا سپاه دانش اومده تو آبادی ما، تو روستای ما، دختر پسر با هم قاطی هم دارن درس میخونن. بعد میگن خب یکی از همین کردا میگه پسر تو سواد داره، درک میکنه، تو نداری، تو خیلی مشکل خواهی داری. بعد میفهمه. بعد یه آقای بوده، من از همه کردها، از همه ایرانی ها معذرت میخوام، تلفظ اسم این شخص رو درست نمیگم، هلمت بوده، هلمت، که کرد بوده، میخواسته ایران کردستان رو از ایران جدا کنه. این میاد باهاش صحبت میکنه، میگه چیکار میکنه؟ میگه بیا برو تهران نیروی هوایی رو ببین. این میره نیروی هوایی رو میبینه، بعد برمیگره میگه نه من نمیخوام، به تفنگ داراشم میگه نه. نگاه کنید، البته تو قسمت انگلیسیش نگفتم، الان یادمه. من اینجا مثلا این دکوره، آره اینا هستش، اینا دکوره. من با اینجور چیزی که نمیتونم یهو برم تو میدون جنگ. بعد هواپیما میاد، تفنگ مدرن دارن، 100 تا چیز دارن میزنن. اینا یه چند تا مثلا سلاح دستشون بوده، فکر میکردن مثلا میتونستن. بعد یهو بیسوادی و اینا بودن، نمیتونن. اینا میشن جزو. نگاه کنید، در کانادا من تجربه میگه اصلا با جمهوری اسلامی هیچ فرق نداره. من یه بلیت گرفتم به خاطر اینکه سرعت، حالا پلیس میگفت سرعت رفتیم. این اسم من تو دادگاه هنوز هستش که سال 2005 رفتم. اینجا شما یه عطسه کنی، یه کاری کنی، پدرتو در میارن، زندگی آدمو سیاه میکنن تو کانادا. خب خدای ناکرده مثلا اگه حالا مثلا بگیم میخوایم پلیس، من نمیخوام نه پلیس بشم نه ارتشی بشم تو کانادا، اصلا با اینجور چیزا کاری ندارم. میان ازت میپرسن دندونات تو کی بود مسواک زدی؟ به این صورته. پلیس استیت، اینجا خودش پلیس استیته، 127 سال همه چیزو بر علیهت نگه میدارن. این مملکت درب داغونیه کانادا. اون موقع اگه کسی میامد به پادشاه عزیزم میگفت هر کاری که کرده معذرت میخوام، اشتباه کردم، این کار انجام نمیدم دیگه، برو تموم شد، باشیش کار نداره. تفنگدار آقای هلمت یه سریشون میان به شیر و خورشید سرخ میشن، جز اونا میشن. یه سریشون گروه ایشون چریک میگه، خب منم همون جزء ژاندارمری میشن، چریک هستن که وقتی ژاندارمری نیرو احتیاج داره اینا وارد میشن به ژاندارمری کمک میکنن. یه آقای بوده به نام ملا آواره، من نمیدونم چرا میگه آواره، ملا بوده دیگه. این اقدام به کارهای نظامی میکنه، خشونت نشون میده، البته دستگیرش میکنن، پروندهشون میدن به دادگاه، با اون جرمایی که بوده، کارهای تروریستی بوده، خشونت تو جامعه بوده، اینا اعدام میشه، با تفنگداراش اعدام میشه. خب اونم هستش، اعدام کرده کسی که خشونت میخواد نشون بده، ولی کسی که میگه یا فکر میکنه. بعد در ظرف 1.5 سال ایشون در کردستان رو با ایران یکی میکنه. دانش کوروش بزرگ رو تو ایران پیاده کردن. محمد رضا شاه پهلوی این دانش رو با کسایی که مثل آقای سرهنگ، محمد باقر، بنی آمری بوده، این دانش رو تو ایران پیاده کردن. مسئله بعدی اینه که ایشون میاد تو خراسان، در استان خراسان میاد تو قسمت ژاندارمری و این پلیس ترافیک میشه، پلیس و ژاندارمری که خیاب از این شهر تو این جاده‌ای که از این شهر به این شهر میرن اینا رو مواظب بوده. به این راننده های اتوبوس میگه، یا اتوبوس یا کامیون، به من بگید کدوم پلیس از شما اخاذی میکنه، من جلوشو میگیرم، به شما هم اصلا نگران نباش. و میاد این کار انجام میده و مردم خیلی خوشحال بودن، میامدن گزارش میدادن، میگرفتن. اگه میرفتی ارتش نظامی خوش نمیگذشت بهش، خوش نمیگذشت. بعد از این مسئله اینجا یه اتاقکی رو پیدا، یه قسمتی رو، یه خونه میبینه که متروکه، کسی نیست توش، میاد اونجا رو بازسازی میکنه، پاسگاهش میکنه، میارنش تو بهش میگن تو خراسان میری ژاندارمری. در اونجا یه حادثه رخ میده، یه سری راهزن میان، یه اتوبوس رو نگه میدارن، مردم رو لخت میکنن، همه چیز رو میگیرن، به ایشون میگن، ایشون میاد میگه باشه. اونایی که دزدی شده ازشون میان پیشم ببینن چیه، صحبت میکنن با یه سرشون، یکیشون میگه اینا افغانی نبودن، چون به امام عباس قسم میخورن که ما رو بخوام بکشن، بعد افغانی و سنی هستن، شیعه نیستن. اینا بهشون میگه به کسی چیز نگو. به اون پلیس ها میگه که شما از این لحظه به بعد حواستون رو جمع کنید، ببینید کی یه ذره مثلا شیک پوشیده که قرار نیست شیک پوشیده باشه. میبینن یه مثلا کسی که چوپانه کت شلوار نپوشیده و ساعت رولکس هم زده، این داستانش چیه؟ میارنش پاسگاه. اول میگه یکی بوده پشت امامزاده داشته اینا رو میفروخته. اینا بهش میگه که به من دروغ نگو، من چون در رابطه با چیز بوده، سلاح، اسلحه، آرم رابری انجام دادی، با سلاح دزدی کردی، کیفرش خیلی زیاده، بهتره با ما همکاری کنی، بگی کیفرت کمتر میشه. این کار انجام میبینه اشتباه کرده، میاد همکاری میکنه. افغانی ها میان 2 پسر کت خدا رو میدزدن، این یه داستان دیگه است. پسر کت خدا رو میدزدن و ایشون میاد یه پسر میتونن نجات بدن، متاسفانه یه پسر کشته میشه. ایشون میان تو بلوچستان. من از این داستان خیلی خوشم اومد، برای اینکه علی انصاری یه آدم دروغگو بی‌کفایت تهمت میزد به ارتشی‌ها. من پدرم ارتشی بوده، تو خونه ارتشی بزرگ شدم، میدونم که ایرانی بودن، این انصاری، آدمای مثل انصاری من انگل میبینمشون، اینا اینجوری نیستن، آدمای خوبی نیستن. هیچ وقت اون ارتش شاهنشاهی نمیره با صدام حسین با دشمن ایران کار کنه. بعد این مسئله چیز بود، این بنی سعد بود که میگفت رفتن نقشه خریدن از CIA و اونا بهشون گفته بودن $100,000 دادن، $150,000، یه همچین چرت و پرتایی میگفتش. ولی الان من این کتابو دارم میخونم میبینم یعنی دیگه این واقعیت هیچ وقت سرهنگ محمد باقر بنی آمری نمیرفت با صدام حسین کار کنه، هیچ وقت نمیرفت از CIA صحبت کنه. اینا آدمای تیزی هن، زرنگی هن، میدونن دنیا چجوری داره میچرخه. در بلوچستان 2 روستا با هم دیگه حرفشون میشه. یه آقای بوده به نام موسی، میذاره میره تو یکی از این جزیرهایی که تو خلیج فارسه اونجا هست و بعد صدام حسین متوجه میشه و میاد به اینا مثلا میگه من بهتون سلاح میدم، تمرینات نظامی میدم. 3 ماه میرن تمرینات نظامی میبینن و میان چی میشه؟ میگن آقا ما خسته شدیم، به موسی میگن تفنگداراش میگن ما خسته شدیم میخوایم برگردیم ایران. 5 نفر رو میفرستن ایران. 5 نفر یهو ژاندارمری رو میبینن، اینا 3 تا ژاندارمری رو میترسن، تیراندازی میکنن، میکشنشون و فرار و اینا. بعد یهو ژاندارمری آقای سرهنگ محمد باقر بنی آمری صدا میکنه به دفتر مرکزیشون تو بلوچستان، میگه این داستان چیه؟ ما خبر رسیدیم از ساواک که 2000 نفر بلوچ هستن، 500 تاشون تو عراقن، 1000 تاشون تو کشور پاکستان و 500 تاشون هم تو تو خود ایران تو بلوچستانن. ایشون میگه نه این اشتباهه، من میدونم نیستم چون من با مردم بومی در تماس هستم. میگه پرونده رو بدید من صحبت. میاد با آقای موسی صحبت میکنه، موسی میگه من تسلیم میشم، کاری ندارم. همه برمیگردن به زندگی عادیشون. اینه. یه روزم میگه تو باشگاه افسران نشسته بودن، دیدم یه سری مهندس ها هستن جوونن، میان جایی نبوده واسهشون، میگه آب بدید، هر غذا هر چی میخوام بهشون بدید، بخوابن، هر چقدر میخوان استراحت کنن، بعد برن دنبال کارشون. این کار رو واسه ایران انجام دادن. بازنشستگی ایشون به چه صورتی بود؟ بازنشستگیش خیلی ناگهانی بوده. تیمسار قره‌باغی، خیلی از مردم میدونن که ایشون خائن به ایران بوده و تیمسار قره‌باغی میاد تو دفتر، اینو صداش میکنه، میگه بله بفرمایید. میگه تو چرا مثل دزدا همیشه از جلوی من فرار میکنی؟ اینم به غیرتش برمیخوره، این داره همش با دزد و نمیدونم این هم داره دست و پنجه نرم میکنه، بعد بهش میگه تو دزدی. خب منم باشم به غیرتم برمیخوره. همونجا برمیگرده میگه من بازنشسته میشم. خیلی اصرار میکنه که بازنشسته نشه، بعد میشه. حالا یک مطلبی رو میخوام بگم، یه رفلکشنه. اون موقعی که ما ایرانیا داشتیم تو دیسکو میرقصیدیم، حال میکردیم، ایشون بالای کوه تو سرما و گرما نمیخوابه، بیداره، زن و خودش میگه تو اینجا یه دختر داشته. خب یه دختر، من از روی مثلا نمیشناسم خانواده، احترام هم میذارم بهشون، اونجا داره زحمت میکشه فلانه، همه اینا هستش. همه تو ایران داشتن شادی میکردن، این داشت با جون خودش بازی میکرد. تو یه درگیری یه بار یه گلوله میخوره تو دستش، خیلی بد، گلوله بخوره، خب در این استخون اینا، بالاخره پزشکا درستش میکنن. تو وقتی که تو ایران بوده، افغانی‌ها اون آدم ربایی کرده بودن، یه گلوله میخوره به شونش، نمیدونم یه حالا تو کدومشون چپ راست نمیدونم، میخوره بهش. نگاه کنید، اینها بودن که ایران ما را سرفراز نگه داشتن. دیگه بعدش رفتم تو کشاورزی، داشتم کشاورزی میکردم، یهو انقلاب رخ داد و لباس نظامی رو دوباره تصمیم گرفتم بپوشم. حالا زیاد نمیدونم چون تا اینجا خوندم که میخواد برگرده به ایران خدمت کنه، دوباره کارش رو آغاز کنه. بسیار سپاسگزارم.